Every single day you wake up and pick up your phone to see a world made of stories. Some of these stories tell you about the weather or what your friends had for dinner, while others claim to show you the deep secrets of the universe. We live in a time where a single sentence on a screen can travel across the globe in seconds and change the minds of millions of people. It is a strange and beautiful power, but it is also a very dangerous one. We are swimming in a sea of information that never sleeps and never stops growing. In this vast ocean, it is becoming harder and harder to tell the difference between a lighthouse that guides us home and a false light that leads us toward the rocks. We often assume that because we can read and write we are prepared for this new world. But there is a silent crisis happening in our minds and in our communities. It is not just that we do not know enough science or history. It is that we have lost the tools to check if what we are seeing is actually true. We are living through a shift where the truth is no longer a solid ground we walk on, but a puzzle we have to solve every time we open an app. This challenge is not just for students or scientists but for every human being who participates in the modern world. To understand why this is happening, we must first look at the surface of how we consume information today. On the surface we see a problem called fake news. We hear about wild claims like the sun being a lie or government secrets that sound like movies. We often look at these stories and think that only a foolish person would believe them. We believe the problem is simply that there are lies on the internet, and if we could just delete the lies, everything would be fine. We focus on the shocking headlines and the obvious errors. This surface view suggests that the solution is just to provide more facts. We think that if we give people a list of true things, they will automatically stop believing the false things. However, this misses the point of why fake news is so effective. It is not just about the information itself, but about how that information is presented to us. Lies are often dressed up in the clothes of truth. They use professional logos and serious voices and scientific words to trick our eyes. When someone sees a convincing report, they do not see a lie, they see a new and exciting discovery. This is why the surface problem of fake news is actually a deeper problem of how we recognize authority in a digital space. We have entered a world where anyone can look like an expert and where a fake website can look just as credible as a famous university. Behind our struggle with truth, there is a hidden assumption that seeing is believing. We have been raised to trust our eyes and our instincts. We assume that if a source looks professional and sounds convincing, it must be reliable. This is a very old human habit that worked well in a world of physical books and newspapers. In the past, it was expensive and difficult to print a book or run a news station, so we assumed that the cost and effort were a sign of quality. But the internet has broken this connection. Now it costs nothing to create a website that looks like a world-class news organization. We still carry the hidden assumption that a polished appearance equals a truthful message. We also assume that our own brains are perfect at spotting errors. We like to think that we are too smart to be fooled. But the truth is that our brains are built to look for stories that fit what we already believe. If we see a story that makes us angry or happy, we are much more likely to accept it without checking the facts. We assume our emotions are a guide to truth, but in the digital world our emotions are often a trap used by those who want to spread lies. We need to challenge the assumption that we can trust our first impressions. The internet is a hall of mirrors where the most beautiful reflection is often the most distorted one. If we look at the structural pattern of how truth is built online, we can see that it has changed from a straight line to a messy web. In the old pattern, information flowed from a few trusted centers out to the people. There was a clear hierarchy of who was allowed to speak and who was supposed to listen. This structure was far from perfect, but it was very simple to navigate. Today the pattern is decentralized. Every person is a publisher and every phone is a broadcast station. This new pattern is a web where every point is connected to every other point. In this structure, information does not move based on its truth, but based on its speed and its ability to grab attention. The pattern of the internet favors things that are loud and fast and shocking. This is why a lie about the sun can travel faster than a complex scientific explanation about physics. The structure itself is built for engagement, not for accuracy. When we realize this, we can see that the problem is not just bad people making up stories, but a system that is designed to reward those stories. The pattern is one of constant noise, where the quiet voice of the truth is often drowned out by the roar of the crowd. To survive in this web, we have to learn a new kind of structure for our own thinking. We need to build a mental framework that values slow checking over fast reacting. We can reframe our entire perspective on information by seeing ourselves not as spectators but as investigators. Instead of asking if we believe a story, we should start by asking why the story was made and who made it. This reframing changes our relationship with the screen. We stop being passive targets for content and start being active filters. When we see two sources that both look convincing, we should not just pick our favorite one. We should look at them like a detective looks at a crime scene. We check the evidence and we look for the small details that do not fit. We ask for the sources of the sources. This new perspective allows us to see that truth is not something that is given to us but something that we must carefully build for ourselves. It turns the act of reading the news into a skill that we can practice and improve. This is a very empowering shift because it means we are no longer victims of the algorithm. We are the masters of our own minds. We can choose to be the people who stop the spread of lies by simply refusing to share what we have not verified. This reframing makes us responsible for the health of our digital community. Applying this to our daily lives is a simple but deep practice. Every time you are about to click the share button or tell a friend about a wild story you saw online, pause for 60 seconds. Use that minute to do a quick search for the topic. Look for other organizations that are talking about the same thing. If only one strange website is reporting a massive event, it is a huge red flag. You can practice this with your family and friends by turning fact-checking into a game. Take two different articles about the same topic and try to find the three biggest differences between them. Talk about which one uses emotional language and which one sticks to the facts. This is how we build the muscle of digital literacy. We can also teach this to the younger generation who are growing up in this digital forest. Instead of just telling them what is true, we can show them how to find the truth for themselves. We can show them that it is okay to be skeptical and that asking questions is a sign of intelligence, not weakness. By making these small changes in our daily habits, we start to clean up the information environment for everyone. We become the immune system of the internet, protecting ourselves and those around us from the infection of fake news. This is a lifelong journey because the internet will always be changing and new lies will always be invented. But the tools of logic and curiosity never go out of style. As we move deeper into this reflection, we should consider the cost of living in a world without truth. If we cannot agree on the basic facts of our reality, we cannot solve the big problems of our time. We cannot fix the climate or improve our health or build a fair society if we are arguing about whether the sun is real. The truth is the foundation of our cooperation as human beings. When we lose our grip on the truth, we lose our ability to work together. This is why learning to check facts is not just a school subject but a civic duty. It is how we protect our democracy and our future. We are all researchers in this new age, and the quality of our future depends on the quality of our information. We must be willing to do the hard work of thinking for ourselves even when it is easier to just follow the crowd. We must value the truth more than we value being right or being first. The internet is a mirror of our collective mind, and if we want it to be a place of wisdom, we must fill it with wise choices. We are the ones who decide which stories live and which stories die based on what we choose to believe and what we choose to share. This is a heavy responsibility, but it is also a great opportunity to raise the level of our global conversation. We can be the generation that learned how to master the digital world instead of being mastered by it. We can choose to be the light that cuts through the fog of fake news and shows the way forward. In a world where anyone can say anything, the most valuable thing you can own is a mind that knows how to find the truth. If you were presented with two different versions of the world and both were perfectly designed to make you believe them, how would you start to find the hidden cracks that reveal the one that is fake?